Hello, Stephen Morris here, Advisory. Today we are going to set our sights more globally and we're going to go down south, specifically South America, the lovely country of Paraguay. Why do we love Paraguay so much? Well, there's a whole number of reasons. Amazing people, the food is fantastic, especially if you love steak. And we also love the fact that it has a very low tax rate, almost zero for most people, especially folks who are earning money internationally. So let's talk about what this means. What could you do to perhaps take advantage of Paraguayan tax benefits, and also how it affects you in your real estate holdings if you have them here in the United States. So let's do a brief primer on what is going on with Paraguayan taxes. Paraguay has a territorial tax system. And so what that generally means is that they tax you only on income that is sourced within Paraguay, from Paraguayan businesses, from Paraguayan employers, from Paraguayan real estate. All that good stuff is going to be taxed at no more than 10%. If you earn any income outside of Paraguay while living in Paraguay, they don't want a piece of it. I know it's hard to imagine being a US citizen, but if you have French income and you have some real estate over in the United States, Paraguay is going to tax you at a rate of 0%. So why don't we all move there tomorrow? Well, I wish it was only so easy. Unfortunately, the US has a different tax system than Paraguay. We have a tax system that is based on worldwide taxable income. And we are one of two countries in the world that has this type of system in place, the other one being Eritrea, located in Africa. And so the way the worldwide tax system works is no matter where you live in the world, the US has the right to tax you on that income. So if you're living in Antarctica and you are making money studying penguins, then the US still wants a cut of that penguin income, even though Antarctica isn't a country and they're not taxing you there at all whatsoever. So how does this play in with all the advice you may have seen online on YouTube and Instagram and those other social media platforms about how moving to Paraguay means you automatically pay zero taxes? Not quite the case. Let's get into some of the nuances. As I mentioned, the US is going to be taxing you no matter where you make money around the world. And so let's say, for example, you have a business that's based in the United States, you're clearing $1 million a year, and you decide to work remotely from Paraguay. Great idea. The cost of living is substantially lower than the United States, and you're going to be enjoying the Paraguayan 0% tax rate because that income is being sourced from outside the country. However, the US is still going to want their cut, and they're going to tax you up to an upwards rate of 37%, and that is unavoidable. There are ways to structure your business dealings to potentially lower your tax rate. And if you unlock the international tax laws, you could potentially source some income to Paraguay through a corporation, be an employee of that corporation, and up to $130,000 a year would be excluded under the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion under Code Section 911. However, that takes a lot of heavy restructuring, and if you're just a digital nomad who decided to move there and live there for 6 to 8 months out of the year, or even up to 10 or 11 months, then you're not going to get this particular tax outcome. It's going to be no different had you been staying in the States than if you move down there. Furthermore, if you have real estate that's within the United States, then you're also going to be taxed on it regardless of where you live. So if you have an apartment portfolio in California and you decide that now's the best time to take a year off and do a sabbatical and reflect on life, and all the income that you earn in California from the apartments are not going to be taxable in Paraguay. Wonderful. Those will still be taxable in the United States at a federal income tax rate, and especially if it's in California, California's still going to want their cut as well because the properties are situated in their state. I should also mention some other international tax rules as well. If you decide to set up a bank account in Paraguay or in any country outside of Paraguay, the same rules apply. And if at any point during the year the bank account balance has ever hit $10,000, and I mean even for a second, let's say 10,000 came in, then 10,000 came out, you're going to have to file a Form 114, which is FinCEN, it's the FBAR, and it's basically a report showing what's your bank account number, and what the maximum balance was during the year. Failure to file this report is going to result in a $10,000 penalty. Yeah, you heard me, $10,000 just for failing to file a report that just tells the government, well, here's the cash that I have outside of the country. Furthermore, if you take it a step further and you really decide to make this change and you really want to invest in Paraguay, let's say you want to start building real estate assets over there, you want to start developing a life in that country, or again, any other country, but we're just using Paraguay as an example, then you're going to have to also take into account that if you set up a corporation within that country, you need to file Form 5471. And that is essentially a very long, very tedious report to complete, which basically says, here's my corporation, here's how much money I'm making from it, there's a whole slew of information. I mean, there's like 20 different subschedules that go into it. That form alone makes some people want to renounce their US citizenship. I'm not even joking with you. I mean, it is such a complicated form. Failing to file that, and by the way, incompletion, would be a $25,000 penalty per year. I want you to be aware of it, not to scare you, but just so you should be aware, because I don't want you dealing with an IRS audit and the auditor goes, hey, so I saw you were outside of the country for a few years. What'd you do? And you say, well, I was running a business over there. It has nothing to do with you guys. You go, oh, no, it absolutely does. Where are the 5471s? And for every year you missed it, you're gonna be very sad at that outcome. It's worth the time. Hire an international tax CPA who knows how to file these forms and make sure that you're covered so that you don't have to pay these crazy penalties years down the road. And by the way, just to be clear, they're not gonna know it the year that you missed it. It's gonna come in an audit a few years later, they're gonna hit you with penalties, they're gonna hit you with interest. It's a whole big mess. I should also mention that failing to file the form 5471 keeps the statute of limitations of your tax return open forever. So you don't even have to worry about the 3 or 6 year period. That's a big problem. You definitely want to get somebody on board like us who can help you make sure that you're compliant with these international and crazy tax rules. I would say that moving down there would be helpful towards a cost of living adjustment. If you decide to develop businesses down there and still retain your US citizenship, that's fine. I'd recommend generating or sourcing your income locally. You at least get to take advantage of the $130,000 a year foreign earned income exclusion. Those type of strategies are good, but please pay no heed to, as a US citizen, I'm moving down to this country and I'm avoiding all taxes because I'm no longer in the US. That's not gonna fly as a tax strategy. You're gonna be very sad at the outcome when one day you're audited and they find out that you just didn't report a lot of income that you thought had nothing to do with the United States because you were located outside of the country. Otherwise, I highly recommend it. Getting residency in Paraguay as of the time of this video is actually relatively easy. It is a fantastic country. There's a lot of promise. Real estate development is booming. It is turning into a mini Miami down in South America. Highly, highly recommended. I go several times a year now at this point, building lots of connections, enjoying the food, enjoying the people. Overall, it's just a wonderful place to be and I couldn't recommend it more. If this is of interest to you, if you would like to maybe go down there at some point and check it out, or if you're interested in investing down there and you'd like to know more about how those investments interact with the international and US tax rules, then feel free to reach out to us here and we'll be more than happy to assist you. Thanks so much for watching.